Have you ever found yourself, staring down a really challenging test? Or maybe a huge pile of complex information and just wishing you had a shortcut, a way to cut through all that noise?
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of wanting to pinpoint the critical stuff, uncover the surprising bits, and actually come out feeling like you get it.
It's more than just a wish sometimes, isn't it? It's like this fundamental need to master something complex without drowning in the details.
Especially when the stakes are high, like with a big exam, that feeling definitely intensifies.
That's exactly why we're here today. This deep dive is all about tackling those real brain busters, the most challenging question types you'll run into in the IELTS exam.
Right. Our mission really is to give you some solid, actionable strategies, not just to scrape by, but to truly master these difficult questions.
Across the board, listening, reading, speaking, and writing. The goal is unlocking those higher scores, sure, but also feeling genuinely confident on test day.
Yeah, we're going to break down why these questions are tricky, what makes people stumble, and then unpack some really precise strategies.
And walk through specific examples.
Yeah.
From real IELTS materials.
Exactly. Show you exactly how to navigate them. It's, more than just finding the answer. It's understanding how the test is put together. It's sort of clever design.
Okay, let's kick things off then. A real head-scratcher from listening. Those choose two multiple choice questions. They feel like a multi-level challenge, don't they?
They absolutely do. Multiple choice in listening, especially the choose two type, is a masterclass in multitasking. It really is.
You're reading the questions, the options, trying to match what you hear, keep up with the audio.
All at the same time. Yeah. And it gets even tougher in part 3, the academic chats with multiple speakers.
Right, where the questions aren't always straightforward.
Yeah.
Sometimes they target what one person said, or you need to figure out what everyone agreed on.
And what's really fascinating, or maybe frustrating, depending on your perspective, is how subtly they're built. The options, they are never in the order you hear them.
Never.
And often, sometimes even all of the options get mentioned somehow. But only 2 actually answer the question.
So it demands really precise understanding. Like, what did they actually say about that specific option, not just hearing a key word?
Precisely. Just hearing a word from the option isn't enough. You need the full context. Because the test loves to paraphrase. Listening for the exact word, that's a trap.
Okay, listen for meaning, not for the exact word.
Yeah.
That sounds good. But how do you actually train yourself for that? Especially under pressure. What kind of paraphrasing are we talking about?
Well, it's beyond just simple synonyms. They might use antonyms with negatives, like saying she didn't feel any sadness instead of she was happy. Or they rephrase whole clauses. Or sometimes it's implied. Like someone doesn't say, I was confused, but they describe a situation, maybe I just couldn't grasp what was going on in the lecture. The implication is clear, right? Confusion, even if the word isn't there.
That's the deeper level.
Yeah.
So knowing these traps exist, what's our game plan? How do we actually beat this?
First up, use that prep time. Seriously. That minute before the audio starts is gold. Don't just skim.
Really read them.
Actively read the questions and options. Underline keywords, yes, but crucially, paraphrase them in your head. Think, okay, how else could they say this? It primes your brain.
And I've heard this before, but it's worth repeating. Don't just grab the first option that sounds right.
Definitely not. Speakers change their minds, they add details, they clarify. Something later might completely shift the meaning. You have to listen to everything they say about an option before you decide. Patience is key.
Comprehensive listening. Got it.
Right. Let's make this concrete. Take that sample conversation between Jenny and Liam talking about their French exchange presentation. First question pair. Which 2 things do Jenny and Liam agree to include?
Okay, let's walk through it. Option C, description of the French university, Liam says. Something like, don't need too much detail, right?
Exactly. I don't think we need to go into too much detail about the institution itself, and Jenny agrees. So C is out. Easy elimination.
And option D, a map of the city.
Yeah.
Jenny mentions visuals for the location.
Yeah, she considers including some visuals to show where the university was located, which sounds like a map. But then she immediately adds, that wouldn't be useful for everyone. So D is out too. You need the whole thought.
Okay. Now, option A, photos of key activities. Liam likes the idea of visuals.
He says featuring some visuals is a great idea. And Jenny links it to showing highlights of our trip, like Bastille Day skiing. Those are key activities.
And they both agree. So A is in.
A is in. Now, option E, timetable of their studies. Jenny asks about showing campus stuff, lectures, tutorials.
Right. And Liam says,
good idea. We could even display our weekly schedule. That phrase, weekly schedule plus lectures and tutorials, is a perfect paraphrase for timetable of their studies, and Jenny agrees.
So E is our second one.
E is in. Now, option B, information about their hosts, is a classic distractor. Jenny wants to include it.
Yeah, she says, I would also really like to include some details.
But Liam points out, remember, they won't get to see this presentation, though, and Jenny agrees. She concedes the point. So even though she wanted it initially, they don't agree in the end.
Wow, that really highlights listening for that shared agreement. It's crucial for the choose to.
Absolutely critical. Let's try the next pair from the same chat. Questions 3 and 4. Which two feelings did Liam experience?
Okay, option A, nervousness. Jenny says she was nervous. A bag of nerves.
Exactly. Jenny was nervous. Classic distractor. Testing if you attribute the feeling to the right person. So A is out for Liam.
Okay. What about Liam? He says he was confident at first.
He does. Confident, but then uses that keyword, but. A huge signal for a change. He goes on, then we got into the first lecture, and it was like, what's happening? Why can't I understand anything?
And that phrase, what's happening? Why can't I understand anything? Strongly implies.
Confusion, exactly. Even without the word confused, that's where we select C.
Makes sense? And later he talks about not giving up.
Right. Despite the difficulties, he and others didn't give up, and he finishes with, well done us.
Well done us. That sounds like pride.
Absolutely. Connect that to the context of overcoming difficulty, and it's a clear, implied expression of pride. So we select D.
Okay, so C and D.
C and D it is. The bottom line for these choose two tasks: read the instructions carefully, how many answers, use the intro for context, paraphrase keywords before you listen, watch out for words like but or negatives, and listen to the whole discussion about an option. Don't jump the gun.
Great advice. Okay, moving from listening to another tricky area. Reading, specifically matching headings. This isn't just keyword spotting, is it? It feels more about getting the main point, the gist of a paragraph.
Exactly. It's about understanding the main idea and separating it from the supporting details. And just like in listening, recognizing how headings paraphrase the paragraph's content, not just repeat words.
And time is always breathing down your neck in reading. 20 minutes a section, and this is just one task type. You need to be fast, but also accurate.
That's the balancing act. Plus, the headings themselves are often deliberately similar. You really have to read them carefully to see the subtle differences.
And some might just focus on a tiny detail from the paragraph, right? Acting as distractors.
Precisely. They're designed to catch you out if you're only skimming for keywords. And vocabulary is huge here. If your vocab is limited, seeing the connection between a heading and a paragraph summary can be really tough.
So with all those challenges, what's the strategy? How do we approach this effectively?
Well, the quickest, most effective way I found is go straight to the first paragraph. Focus hard on the first and last sentences. They often contain the main idea, like bookends.
Okay, first and last sentences. Then what?
Then, before you even look at the official headings, summarize that paragraph's main idea in your own words. Just jot down a quick mini heading for yourself.
Create my own heading first. I like that. It forces you to process it.
Exactly. It forces active comprehension. Then, read all the provided headings. Don't just pick the first one that looks okay. Compare them to your mini heading. Which one is the best fit, the most accurate summary?
Even if one seems right initially, another might be better?
Could be a much better fit. Once you're confident, cross out the heading you used, mentally or physically. It narrows down the options for the next paragraph.
Okay, let's apply this. We've got 5 paragraphs and some headings.
Yeah.
Paragraph A, the source says, talks about reading being crucial for school, for life, for accessing information, making decisions, understanding different views.
Right, so the core idea is reading is fundamental, a key skill throughout life.
So the heading, a key life skill, seems like a perfect match. It sums up crucial component and importance in many different areas of life.
Exactly. Paragraph B focuses on kids absorbing info from their surroundings. Parents, books, interactions influencing reading ability.
So the environment's role.
Yep, the things influencing how kids learn to read, especially their environment. The heading, the importance of a child's environment, nails it. It covers surroundings, quality time, exposure to books.
What about a distractor, like from pre-readers to experts?
Good point. That's a distractor because this paragraph only talks about young children, the early stages, not the whole journey to expert level.
Okay. Paragraph C explores different views, scholars, parents on the best age to teach reading.
Pretty straightforward. Different opinions, debate about when to start formal reading instruction. The heading Diverse Voices captures that perfectly. It paraphrases different opinions, debate.
Makes sense. Paragraph D describes the stages of reading development. First phase, novice reading, advanced reader.
Right. It explains the progression, the abilities at each stage. So the heading from pre-readers to experts actually fits this paragraph perfectly. It captures moving from emerging reader to proficiency.
And a distractor here might be why some children read slowly.
Yeah, that's mentioned as a detail within the novice stage, but it's not the paragraph's main idea, which is the overall development.
Got it. Lastly, paragraph E discusses teaching methods phonics, other ways there are limitations, and suggests combining them.
So it explores methods and concludes with combining them. The heading, An Integration of Techniques, works beautifully. Integration means combination. Techniques means methods.
And the distractor, the discrediting of phonics.
That's too strong. The text mentions limitations, but doesn't discredit phonics entirely. It actually leans towards combining methods, which integration captures.
Okay, so the big takeaway here for you listening. Focus on the main idea. Don't get bogged down in details. Watch out for headings, using similar words but missing the main point, and build that vocabulary to spot paraphrases.
Absolutely key. Now, let's switch gears again. Speaking, specifically part 2, the long turn. This is often the bit that makes people most nervous.
Oh, yeah. Talking for 2 minutes straight to an examiner, it's understandable to feel anxious, maybe a bit shy.
Totally natural. So what happens is you get a task card, a topic, some prompts. You get 1 minute to prep, then you speak for 1 to 2 minutes.
And to get a really high score, you basically need to keep going for the full 2 minutes, right?
100%.
Until they stop you.
That's the aim. It shows your stamina and range, and you're assessed on 4 things again. Fluency and coherence, smooth, logical talk. Lexical resource, your vocab. Grammatical range and accuracy.
And pronunciation.
It's a full workout for your English skills.
It really is. The biggest challenges people face are often fluency, just keeping talking without huge pauses or too many ums and ahs, and idea generation. Ah, yes, thinking on your feet about anything from books to technology to the environment, and then actually developing those ideas, adding detail.
That's often the hardest part, but here's a liberating strategy. You don't have to tell the truth.
Really, you can just make it up.
Totally. As long as you can describe it well in English, it doesn't matter if it's real. For brainstorming in that minute, think who, what, when, where, why, how. Even if the prompts don't ask, these help flesh out details quickly. And the prompts are just suggestions. You can reorder them, skip them, add your own stuff.
That's actually really helpful. Take some pressure off. What about the other hurdles? Vocabulary.
Yeah, lexical resource. Having enough words for lots of topics, synonyms, collocations, words that fit together naturally like fast food, make progress, and maybe some idiomatic language.
And grammar. Using the right tenses, showing variety.
Exactly. If the topic is a type of food you'd like to try, you'll naturally use present tense for description, maybe past tense for how you heard about it, and modals like would or future forms for the hypothetical trying part. Showing that flexibility is important.
Now here's something interesting, how you start the long turn.
Yeah.
You said don't just repeat the prompt. So how do we make that opening better?
Yeah, definitely don't just read the card back, paraphrase it, add a little detail right away, use your own words. So instead of, I'm going to describe a special meal I had,
Try something like.
maybe, okay, I'd like to tell you about a really memorable dinner my family and I had a few months back. Or, right, I'm going to talk about this fascinating lunch meeting I had last week with a colleague, actually. It just sounds more natural and shows your skills immediately.
That simple shift makes a big difference. Let's look at that high-scoring example about Indigenous Australian food. What makes it good for fluency and coherence?
Well, the speaker jumps right in, no rambling, smooth flow, no long pauses, great linking words, so, also, of course, and reference words like those ingredients, that perspective, this food, to connect ideas.
And the detail is strong.
Very strong. Naming specific ingredients, Davidson plums, bunya nuts, lemon myrtle, shows real topic development.
And lexical resource.
Vocabulary.
Excellent range. Not just food words, but good verbs grown, gathered, prepared, eaten, challenged, and lots of great adjectives and adverbs. Squeamish, tangy, sweet, giant, buttered, tempting, fascinating. Traditionally, many are less common, which examiners love.
What about the grammar? range, and accuracy.
Really flexible use of tenses, past simple, past continuous, present simple, present perfect, even future forms, all used accurately.
Wow.
Plus complex structures like relative clauses, which look similar to caterpillars, comparatives, more unusual, modal verbs that shows real control.
And pronunciation. What should we listen for there? Good intonation, like rising tones on lists. Grown, gathered, prepared, and eaten. Stress on important words, squeamish did. Natural rhythm, speaking in chunks of meaning with pauses. And connected speech like, I haven't tried, sounding like I haven't tried, makes it sound fluent. Remember, an accent is fine as long as you're clear.
So for improving, you recommend?
Recording yourself, it's invaluable. Then literally write down what you said. Analyze it. Check tenses, structures, vocab range. Are you repeating words? Need more adjectives? Then practice daily with different topics. Maybe expand your notes, record again, listen back. Be your own coach.
Great practical tip. Okay, final deep dive. Writing task 2, the essay, often seen as the big beast.
It is demanding. You've got to analyze the question, brainstorm structure, write at least 250 words, and check it all in about 40 minutes.
Phew. And it's assessed on those same 4 criteria again, right? Task response, coherence, cohesion, lexical resource, grammar.
Exactly. And task response, how well you answer the specific question asked, is crucial. This essay is worth roughly 2/3 of your writing score, so getting it right matters a lot.
So understanding the prompt is step 1. Get that wrong, and you're in trouble. Let's use that example. Digital communication, face-to-face less common, decreasing ability to communicate well in person. Agree or disagree?
Right. First, identify the topic. Digital versus face-to-face communication. Then the task. State your opinion, agree or disagree. But the key is addressing the specific point. Is digital communication reducing the quality of face-to-face interaction? You need a clear stance on that.
Okay, clear stance. Then, ideas and arguments. You said quality over quantity.
Definitely. Choose your position, agree or disagree. Then brainstorm maybe 2 solid reasons why you think that. These become your main body paragraphs.
Just 2.
Usually 2 well-developed paragraphs are much better than 3 or 4 thin ones. Flesh out those 2 main ideas with details, explanations, examples. Really develop them.
And cohesion and structure. The essay's blueprint.
Essential. Standard structure. Intro, 2, maybe 3 body paragraphs, conclusion. Spend a couple minutes planning this before writing. Each body paragraph needs 1 clear main idea stated in a topic sentence at the start. Then develop only that idea logically within the paragraph.
Keep it focused. And vocabulary and grammar. Formal tone, right?
Yes, essays are formal. So avoid slang, use appropriate vocabulary, show range nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, good collocations. Spelling needs to be accurate.
That grammar.
Mix simple and complex sentences. Show variety, maybe passive voice, comparatives, conditionals, relative clauses. But accuracy is paramount. Better a correct simple sentence than an incorrect complex one. Minimize errors.
Okay, let's break down that high-level essay example on digital communication, the intro.
It starts by paraphrasing the general topic with the prevalence of communication technology. Then, crucially, it states the writer's opinion very clearly. I believe this has a negative impact. That direct answer to the prompt is vital for task response. And it's concise, just a couple of sentences. Perfect.
Then the body paragraphs. They start with a topic sentence.
Always. Like, the main impact is in the development of essential communication skills. Instantly tells you the paragraph's focus. Then it develops that idea, explains nonverbal cues, facial expressions, body language, how digital reduces practice with these.
And you mentioned linking words are important here.
Absolutely fascinating how they use them. Words like these, in contrast, so, thus, this. Consequently, they weave the ideas together, creating that smooth flow, that coherence and cohesion examiners look for.
It's not just good ideas, but how they're connected.
Exactly. And often, the last sentence of the body paragraph links back to the main opinion from the intro, reinforcing the argument, like, thus the decline is depriving individuals.
Grammatically, it shows range.
Huge range. Simple, complex sentences, passives, comparatives, conditionals, all used accurately.
And the vocabulary sounds impressive. Nonverbal cues, valuable context, empathy, active listening, nuanced, attuned, impersonal.
Right. Lots of precise, less common formal vocabulary shows a strong lexical resource. But here's a real pro tip I noticed. Hedging.
Hedging? You mean like being cautious?
Exactly. Instead of saying digital communication always lacks nuance, the essay says often lack. It uses fewer opportunities, not no opportunities. Words like potentially, tend to, may.
Why is that better?
It makes the arguments sound more reasonable, more academic, less like sweeping generalizations. It shows sophistication, boosts task response and lexical resource. It's a subtle but powerful technique.
That's a fantastic insight. Makes the writing sound much more credible. Okay, so the conclusion then.
It starts with a clear linker to conclude, or something similar, restates the writer's opinion from the intro, maybe using slightly different words, and ends with a final thought here. It offers a solution. Individuals should prioritize face-to-face encounters. Could also summarize or make a prediction. Just needs to provide closure.
So, the big picture for Task 2 success. Deep prompt analysis, well-developed ideas, logical structure, precise and varied language, and good time management. That seems to cover it.
That's the formula. Nail those, and you're on your way.
Well, we've certainly dived deep today into some of the trickiest parts of IELTS. Listening traps, reading main ideas, speaking fluency, writing structure. You should now have a much better toolkit.
And hopefully a better understanding of why these things are challenging and how the strategies work.
So what does this all mean for you? This knowledge isn't just about passing a test. It's about getting better at handling complex information, expressing your own thoughts clearly.
And understanding subtle communication in any situation. Academic life, work life, personal life. These skills are transferable.
Exactly. Which leads to a final thought. Consider how these skills the IELTS tests, critical listening, finding the core message, structuring arguments, expressing yourself clearly, how these are genuinely key life skills, valuable way beyond any exam.
So the question for you is, how will you take these insights, these strategies, and apply them day to day in your learning, in your conversations? How will you become, a more informed, more articulate communicator? Something to think about.